redshirting last year, only 3 carries. First carry, you go for 48-yard touchdown. Just how rewarding was that?
It was amazing. Had to put in a lot of work being hurt last year. Just a lot of grinding, not really getting, playing a game with my guys, have fun. So I couldn't ask for it to go better.
Hey, Nolan. How much is Roman's, kind of running style and off-the-field leadership? I know you talked about taking a big step there. How much have you seen him grow from last year to this year, and how much do you lean on him?
A lot. And being in a room with a guy who did things so well but is so determined to keep getting better just shows me that, you're never good enough. You always got to work. There's always something you got to improve on. So being able to look to him for leadership as I was getting healthy, getting familiar with the playbook and things like that was huge.
Hey, Nolan, 2 for you. One, Coach Loxley had been mentioning your name every time we were here, and just what kind of did that do for you to have that belief from your coach and to know that he believed in you, and then obviously to see it come to fruition in your first game?
It's nice, just a reminder to keep working. Hearing stuff like that just reminds me I got to go out and practice every day and prove him right, even though it's just us out there. I got to prove it to myself. I got to prove it to him, and that's just what I'm trying to do every day at practice.
And you had a teammate lose his father, Josiah McLaurin, and we saw him score the touchdown. Everybody in the locker room after. What can you say about how your team was there to support him and for him to have that moment? What was that like for you as one of his teammates?
I think, one, it speaks on the type of team we have. Everybody was there for him, supporting him, loving on him. But then for him to stay here with us and playing that game, it's special. And then he ended up scoring a touchdown. So, you can't ask for anything better than that. It's just...
Hey, Nolan. The guys in front of you, the 5 guys in front of you, all playing together in a game for the first time. They acquitted themselves excellently. How did it feel from your perspective in the backfield working with a line that was really their first time playing together, all 5 of them?
They did great. That was something we worked on all camp, trying to fit guys in certain spots, see where guys shined at, and they did amazing. It opened up as soon as I touched the ball on that first run, so, yeah.
Nolan, the Big Ten schedule kicks off with begins with a bang. What's it like playing a conference game this early in the season? Something that's not happened since Maryland was in the ACC.
It's different. You're entering a different season once you start playing the Big Ten. It's gonna be a tough physical game, just like UConn was. But Big Ten football is a little different. So just kind of having that focused mindset, going through practice this week, and
One of the cliches of the game is that a team improves the most from week 1 to week 2. Where do you want your unit and maybe even your position group to make strides between week 1 and week 2?
Just the little things, the little details, the little things matter. We had a pretty clean first game. We couldn't have asked for things to go too much better, but there's always things we can work on and improve. And so just the technical things, making sure we're lining up the right way, the little things is what's going to, allow us to make that big jump, like you said, from week 1 to week 2.
It's kind of like a storybook script. Your season was over after 3 carries last year, and then on your first touch this year, the hole opens up. Can you specifically talk about that play and kind of what you were thinking before the play, and then just what your thoughts were as the hole was opening up, et cetera, et cetera?
Obviously, I wasn't expecting anything like that to happen, first carry, but just trusting my line. We have a new line, but I trust those guys with my life and trusting the scheme that my coaches had planned. And I was ready whenever I was able to touch the ball to try and, do what I could to the best of my ability. Honestly, I'm blessed, that I was able to get back and show people, what we've been working on this entire year.
Nolan, what are some of the qualities that make Billy a leader, and can you kind of give us an idea of what his demeanor is like when he's in the huddle with you guys?
He's a great guy to have at quarterback. Like you said, his leadership capabilities, vocally, he's going to show you how to do it the right way. He's going to tell you how to do it the right way. He's going to pick you up. If you get down on yourself, he won't allow you to do that. So that's important to have in the huddle. And, when you face that adversity in those tough games, you need a guy that's going to be able to pick the team up and, keep everybody's spirits high. And he's really good at that.
And Nolan, obviously, we talked about opening up conference play this week. What jumps out about Michigan's defense and specifically their front seven? I'm sorry, Michigan State.
They're a tough team, so we're gonna have to, put last week behind us. just get better technically, be tough, physical, up front, on the perimeter, everywhere. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Jordan, it's been said that the biggest improvement for a team in college football is from week 1 to week 2. Seeing what you guys did defensively this past Saturday, where do you guys want to ratchet things up going into Michigan State?
Yeah, we just want to continue to get better every day. At the end of the day, it's Terps versus Terps, and we know that. So we want to try to continue to get better as every day goes on and as every week goes on.
And just looking at Michigan State, beyond what the scoreboard, what kind of things have jumped off the tape? What things do they do offensively that will be a challenge?
Yeah, from an offensive standpoint, I think they do a lot of good things with the stretch, the outside zone. They also run inside zone, a little bit of gap scheme too. They pull both guards. They also run that counter. I think they do a lot of good things on tape up front. You know what I'm saying? They're very competitive. They play with low pad level, and they play fundamentally sound, which tells me that they're coached really good. And I see a lot of good things from them on tape.
Hey, Jordan. One of your defensive mates is Glendon Miller, obviously, who's kind of had a couple of good years here. Since you came in last season, what have you seen from him? What's your guys' relationship like, and who is Glenn as a person?
Yeah, Glenn is a really great guy, you know what I'm saying? He always comes in with energy, always approaches the day the same, consistently ready to work, ready to bring guys up. Very smart, you know what I'm saying? Very smart. His football IQ is really good. Glenn is really like one of the guys who brings a lot of energy to this defense and to this program as a whole, and I'm very thankful to have him as a teammate.
I wouldn't call it pressure necessarily, but in the preseason, Coach Loxley and all the coaches were really talking about the defense. The defense is salty. The defense is really the key to this season. There's a lot of unknowns on offense. Can you talk about that a little bit, and how does that make you feel when you hear those types of things?
It makes me feel good. At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, we have to execute. Every day we always try to go into each practice with the emphasis individually what everybody needs to get better at, and then collectively as a position group, you know what I'm saying, we set goals each day. What needs to be the emphasis of the day? What do we need to get better at? And then collectively as a whole unit, as a whole defense, we come together and we say, well, hey, you know what I'm saying, today this is going to be the emphasis, you know what I'm saying? And then we're going to continue to build upon that, because at the end of the day, that's the standard. We're going to find the emphasis of the day, and we're going to continue to get better at that emphasis, whatever it is.
Hey, Billy, Coach Locks was telling us about your relationship with Leah. How did that make you a better quarterback, and what were some of the things you learned from him that you could apply to this year as the full-time starter?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing, over my 2 years playing with Talia, I think the first thing is, when I first transferred in here, he welcomed me with open arms. I think the first thing that, allowed for me to do was, know that, okay, I can push him, right, as a backup. Obviously in the quarterback room, only one place. It can get, a little tricky sometimes, but, we always competed, always pushed each other. If there was something he did better than me, he would tell me a tip. If it was vice versa, I would do the same. But I think the biggest thing, he played obviously multiple, probably 30, 45 games in his career. The biggest thing that I learned from him was just how to handle success and how to handle adversity. I think the compliment to him was he was always the same guy, thinking about what I've had to do over the last 10 days, and I think of, how I watched him do it, and he was always the exact same person, always had a smile, always, was the same, kind of uplifting Talia that we all knew. So I'd say that's just the biggest thing is, he texted me, multiple times throughout camp and before the first game, and just reminded me, how long of a season it is, and just to take it one week at a time, one day at a time, one game. And, I think he lived that out, the 2 years that I was here watching him. So I think that's the biggest thing is just, watching him, see how he went about his business. And, the season's a long season. You can get tough, but he just was, he took it one day at a time, and he kept kind of the same positive mindset he had. And that's, something that all, I took away the last 2 years, and that I'll look to try to do this year.
Hey, Billy. I know you always talk about one day at a time, one game at a time. And this week you guys are playing a Big Ten opponent, which is kind of early. How do you feel about it, kind of playing that conference game so early? Does anything change at all in the preparation, I guess, in terms of knowing that it's a Big Ten caliber team? It might be a little bit of a different type of game. What's kind of the mental mindset, I guess, going in?
Yeah, I would say, as Coach Loxley says, we're nameless, faceless opponents. We're playing, Michigan State obviously this week, but I think there isn't too much of a difference in terms of my preparation or the team's preparation. I would say, too, I would kind of think of myself as a young player here, right? This being, my third, fourth career start. There's not much of a difference, in my opinion, playing at Michigan State, a Big Ten opponent week 2. Obviously, just watching the tape, they're a good team. They're a great defense, played a very strong week 1. They have a lot of new faces, but I'd say for us, it's just, it's the next opponent up on the board, and, we got to go about our business the same way that, we will all year and we have all year. But, I wouldn't say there's too much of a difference. I think, I'm sure that's probably more external, the excitement of playing a Big Ten team, but, not much of a difference inside the locker room.
Billy, can you kind of take us through the decision to transfer here and how much was being closer to home a factor in that?
Yeah, I would say, my freshman year at Wake Forest, it was like about a 5.5 hour drive that, my parents or my sister, pretty regularly made. Wasn't the end of the world, but I knew that, when I made the decision to enter the portal, that wherever I was going to be closer than that. When the opportunity, came here, obviously with my familiarity of it, known Coach Locks, Coach Enos, Coach Miller at the time since I was 13, 14 years old. And then the biggest thing, what I always tell younger guys is, college football's players' careers are always about opportunity, and there's a really good one in front of me here. And, just 35 minutes from home, I'm sure it doesn't get much better than that. So that was kind of, the icing on the top of the cake for that. But it was just, the opportunity that lied, and then the familiarity I had with, University of Maryland already. Obviously, my brother worked here. My dad played here for 2 years. And, it was a perfect fit. It was something, looking back on 2 years ago, I got pretty lucky. I'm glad I made the decision. I'm glad, it all kind of worked out the way it did. But yeah, it was just, opportunity, and then obviously location close to home and familiarity with what was going on here.
Hey, Billy, 2 questions for you. First, how do you balance the, letting yourself feel some excitement and kind of confidence coming off that first game, but knowing, again, it is just one game and it is a long season ahead, and trying to keep that even keel attitude? Where's the balance there?
Yeah, it's I would say life's all about balance. It's not easy to find that. I was texting Coach Locks' son Kai this weekend, and we had a text back and forth, and he kind of reminded me of the same thing you just said. It's one game, and it's good to have that excitement and that confidence coming from it, but at the same time, he's like, it's a long season, and to continue to have the horse blinders on, and when it's all said and done here in a couple months, we'll look back at what we were able to do. Yeah, I'd say there's balance, but I'd say I'd be more happy at the end of it if I, had the mindset I do now. I'm just taking it one at a time, and I'd be able to look back and have less regret. But it's hard, especially with all the external factors. I try to limit, my time on social media, my time reading stuff, and just really it's JHH, my apartment, or nothing when it comes to the season. But yeah, it's tough, but. I'm excited at, what we have inside the locker room, what we have going. The season's a fun time. Everyone in that locker room is putting 55 plus hours a week into this game plan, and, putting their time and effort into us to go out there and have a chance to succeed on Saturday. So that's kind of what keeps me motivated, is just to keep the main thing right now. And then when it's all said and done here in, December, January, I'll look back and be able to enjoy what we were able to accomplish.
One of your teammates who was a part of the win and had a touchdown, Josiah McLaurin, we know what kind of week he had, what kind of 2 weeks, and the tragic passing of his father. Coach Loxley talked about him and staying here with the team and having you guys rally around him. What did you see from Josiah and from your team, and then to have that moment together on the field in the locker room after? Take us through what that was like for your team.
Yeah, first of all, you just talking about that, I get chills. Josiah's, one of the toughest human beings I've been around and had to, encounter that and witness that first person. But I think, the decision he made to stay here all week, I think was, it was good for him, but I think it was better for all of us just to be around him and know that, this guy made the decision to stay here. He's obviously, he's going through something that, I can't imagine. I know some teammates, have had that happen. But it was tough on us, but I think we all loved him up. Rob Smith did a great job, taking him under his wing, and just being there as whatever we could do for him, in the week leading up to the game to support him. But yeah, that Dante Trader gave him the game ball in the locker room after the game, and he said God works in mysterious ways, and I'm very happy. It was a very cool moment, as a player, as a teammate, to witness him able to go in on his first collegiate game and get his first touchdown. But yeah, he's Josiah's tough as nails. It was a really cool experience to watch that. Yeah, sucks, but we love Josiah. We'll continue to be around him, and he's been like I said, tough as nails. Like, he's been the same kid all week, and you obviously think to yourself, if putting myself in in his shoes, it's hard. It's probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest things we can go through. But yeah, he handled it great, and it was, like I said, I think it meant more to the team that we were able to be there for him and be around him for the week leading up to the game, and then for him to have the touchdown on Saturday. I think that made it all us feel good for him, and I'm sure it helped him get a few laughs and high spirits with the week he had. But it was a tough situation, but like I said, God works in mysterious ways. It worked out well for his first game, but we'll continue to love up on him, be on him, however he may need. But he's a tough kid.
Hey, Billy. I was talking with Ty after the game, and he said at some point, I think in the second half, he came up to you on the sideline and said how proud he was of you as a guy that's followed you from Fairfax County growing up and into Wake and now to here. What's the bond that you guys have between each other?
Yeah. I think I'm going into year 4 college now, so I think Ty and I have known each other for about 7-8 years. We played each other freshman year in high school, played each other in multiple 7-on-7 tournaments. But he was always a guy that, even when I didn't come here right out of high school and, he had committed here, he had, a handful of offers. We always stayed in touch, always followed each other, kept in touch and would work out when we could. And then I think, where we really got close was probably during COVID when I'd start, going out to where he lived in Ashburn and working with a trainer, his same trainer that worked with him throughout high school. And then, Saturday was one of many, full circle moments to get into a game and to be the starter and to get to throw to him and see him have the success he had. It was definitely, he came up to me and he shared that moment, but it meant just as much to me to be a part of his success, knowing that we're both two Northern Virginia guys coming from similar area, and we're just trying to help our team win. And it was a very cool experience that we got to do it together. We'll hope to continue to have that same success throughout the rest of the year, but that's been it's pretty cool when you can do it with not many people obviously go and play college football, but when you got a guy that you've known since you were 13, 14 years old, before you got recruited, before you got any offers, it just makes it that much sweeter.
If I could ask, Coach Locks a few minutes ago called you Leah's brother's keeper in some ways last season and helping him be on time and get to practice. Is there a moment that kind of comes to mind of trying to keep him from not missing a meeting or a practice?
Nah, I can't pinpoint one. I would just say, having lived in Talia's shoes the last 7-8 days, I can't blame him. It gets hard with all the time commitments, but yeah, I helped Talia out in some sense with that, but he helped me out in more ways than what I was able to give to him. So, but yeah, it was we had a good relationship. We took care of each other.
Billy, Michigan State's defense, specifically the front seven, what kind of things do they do to make you guys uncomfortable? What becomes more of a priority against what the Spartans roll out?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just execution. They're a very experienced front seven. They got some new pieces, at linebacker and up front, from the portal and whatnot. But they're very experienced. They're very stout. They play the run well. They're physical. Just watching the one game from FAU, aside from any tape outside of that, they played the run really well and they got after that quarterback. So, I think the biggest thing with, what Coach got us hit on yesterday and what we've been telling ourselves since Sunday when we started watching the tape was just we just got to execute these guys. We got to cover them up, allow Roman, allow the running game to get going. But they're a very experienced front seven, so, we'll have our hands full. But I think, our guys are excited for the challenge to go up against a different type of opponent. They run some different things up front than what UConn did, but we'll definitely have our hands full, but I think we're excited for the challenge.
And the offensive line, no sacks given up last Saturday, 5+ yards per carry. How did the whole get to be better than the sum of its parts with 5 new guys, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think, hats off to the 3 offensive line coaches we have, or the 3 guys that are working in that room, Coach Brass, Coach Robo, and Coach Ferentz. And then I think, tip my hat to the guys in the room, because obviously it's tough with the landscape of college football nowadays. I think, Andre Roy's been here. Isaac Bunyan's been here. He had to change positions, come back to offensive line. Josh Kallenberger's new. Aluba's new. Allen's new. So there's a lot of moving parts, but I give a lot of credit to those guys and their coaches for understanding that there was going to be a process of growing pains that we went through in the spring, But I'd say the biggest thing is that room's pretty tight. You know, they all get along well. Josh, I spent a lot of time watching film with Josh. We're in the same graduate program together, so we spend a lot of time talking outside of here. But I think just the cohesion of that room and the growth that they've made on the field, but off the field, I think has helped them, have the success on the field that they've had so far. But yeah, they'll continue to get better and continue to grow closer. And I know they go out and eat a lot, as linemen like to do. So I think that's helped them, just become better friends, become, better teammates. And, up front, you got to have that, connection because, it gets tough in the trenches, but they've done good so far. So it's got to keep, continue to do what they do and put the right step forward.
Billy, last year, first of all, congrats on a great game last week.
Thank you.
Last year, we saw you start a game. You won the game. It was conservative, passing-wise. Then we saw you against Auburn start the game, get a couple drives in. And then all of a sudden, this game last week, you're throwing left and right down the middle on the run. And to me, it was surprising, whatever. That quick growth. What happened over the offseason? Did you go to any special camps? Did you, what made you grow as a passer off the offseason?
Yeah, I would say I think I've always had it in me. I think it was just about, getting more comfortable in it. Obviously with, been here 2 seasons and the nature of the games that I went in, there was, not much time to get comfortable, whether it was a sporadic start here and there or, coming in for, short yardage, goal line packages, whatever the case may be. But I think just, the biggest thing for me this offseason was more mental and knowing trusting the fact that I can throw the football. It's, I couldn't run in high school, but I could throw, and, kind of the narrative changed obviously throughout my college career, but just more the internal confidence of just, last week in practice, I got after it. And, I was very calm going into Saturday's game. I told myself it was like a Tuesday practice where, I had made those throws countless of times. I had, felt my feet on time and, made the right checks, made the right reads. So that was just the biggest thing for me. I think my growth in the offseason of going into my 4th year, I'm an older player now, not making the game bigger than it is. I think, other games that I'd come in previous, I got very amped up, very excited to get an opportunity to play, where now it's just, I'm always trying to be that level-headed guy and knowing that, like Coach Loxley says, we got to get after it. We got to put the work in Monday through Friday. And for me, that's the biggest thing, is just having good practices. And, I'm going to make mistakes in practice, but getting those corrected by the end of the week will give me all the confidence in the world to go out there on Saturday and make those same throws.
Hi, Billy. Congrats on a great game last weekend once
Thank you.
again. You mentioned your family having ties to this university. You've kind of been waiting in the wings for this opportunity. You started in games before here at Maryland, but in the past it was you got to start. Now you are the starter. What does this moment mean this Saturday, not just for you, but for your entire family?
Yeah, I would say I got to give a shout out to my sister. She always does, a good job of, when we're in the season and in the midst of things, I kind of have the blinders on and I don't, probably do a good enough job of, taking in the moment. But, it was dating back to when I was a young kid, wanted to play Power 5 football. But even, more importantly, when I made the decision to come here with all the ties that my family has here and, how close it is to home and how many people I get to come to games, it definitely was a special moment, one that, I tried to soak in. Probably when it's all said and done, I'll go back and be able to take it all in. But it means a lot. I think I put more pressure on myself just with all those people that I have from Northern Virginia, from here, all my family and friends that are able to come and support me with how close it is to, just go out there and put my best product out there on the field Saturday. But it was definitely, a special moment. My whole family, my brother obviously not included. He had a game down in Charlottesville, but pretty much my whole family was able to come. My sister flew back in from Rhode Island. So it was a cool moment. One that I'll hope to have many more times with them. But yeah, my sister does a good job of reminding me that, because, as always, as soon as we won, we had our hugs, and then I was like, all right, on to the next. And so, she, we shared a few conversations about it where I was able to kind of sit back and enjoy it a little bit. Thank you.